Welcome to the Throttle Up Leadership Podcast. Our theme for 2025 is the future of work. Meaning is the new money. In a world shaped by rapid innovation and constant change, the pursuit of purpose and impact has never been more important. I'm Dr. John Dentico, your host, bringing over 30 years of experience in leadership, strategic thinking, and purpose-driven innovation. Here, we tackle the pressing challenges of our time, from the rise of artificial intelligence to the growing need for meaning in the workplace. Together, we'll uncover how leaders can ethically integrate AI to enhance decision-making and keep humanity at the heart of their organizations. Remember, amidst all the technological advancements, in the end, it's always about the people. This podcast is your resource for actionable tools, thought-provoking discussions, and inspiring stories. It's time to go beyond leadership development and focus on leadership impact, creating workplaces where people thrive, innovation flourishes, and meaning truly becomes the new currency. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Now, let's throttle up and dive into today's episode.
Hello again and welcome to the Throttle Up Leadership Podcast. This is your host, Dr. John Dentico. With me this morning is Janice Brathwaite, CEO and founder of Workplace Transformations, a nationally recognized executive and life coach, and a trusted strategist in workforce innovation and organizational development. With over 17 years of experience, especially in healthcare, Janice has guided organizations through crisis, culture change, and performance optimization using her signature 5-pillar process: Diagnose, Align, Attract, Activate, and Sustain. Named Employer Partner of the Year, Janice is known for blending deep strategic insight with a warm, no-nonsense coaching style that inspires leaders and unlocks real results. Whether she's coaching women executives, revitalizing burned-out teams, or leading workforce transformation initiatives in underserved communities, her mission is clear: help organizations become who and what they truly want to be. Janice brings clarity, honesty, and hope to every conversation. And today she's here to share the way forward. And I'm truly pleased and honored to have Janice with me this morning. Good morning, Janice. How are you?
Good morning. I'm so honored to be on your podcast. I know you talk to a lot of really great thought leaders, so I've got big shoes to fill.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, Janice. I've been very blessed with some amazing guests who have humbled me and taught me much through the 2 years plus that I've been doing it. So, Janice, let me begin with the first question, and that is, tell me a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up, and what were some of the fundamental influences in your early life?
I grew up in Newport, Rhode Island.
One of my favorite places on the planet.
I was very lucky. I had a great childhood. It was the kind of place where you could walk to the beach. It was amazing. I got married, moved to England, was in England for a couple of years. My husband was in the Air Force, and we came back and ended up settling in Boston, and that's how I got to Massachusetts. So I think I was really thinking about this morning because I listened to some of your podcasts. What was an influence? And, I was talking to somebody about this the other day. Sometimes a negative thing can be used in a positive way. I remember, and I actually wrote about this in one of my bios. I was in high school, in American history class. We were talking about people going to college. This was in my junior year. And my teacher was asking various people. I raised my hand, and she said these words to me: "Don't think you're cut out for college." At the time, it really stung, but I used that as impetus to prove her wrong. And it took years and hard work and, going to school and going to college. And I said to myself, if that person hadn't said that to me, would my life have been different? I always look back and say, thank you, maybe. And I wouldn't be where I am if it hadn't been for you.
It's great. Yeah, absolutely agree with you. A number of my guests have been through unbelievable trials and tribulations. Incredible. 3 of them went to jail. One, Ken Miller, went to jail 3 times. Told me it took 2 times before it stuck. And now is a leader in the AI revolution.
Yeah.
Incredible man. I had him on my podcast. 2 others went to jail. Now both is thriving businesses, one in financial advice business and the other in healthcare. So a lot of times it's the negative that you turn into a positive that really shows that you can do it. One of my themes this year is hire for heart. And heart for me is perseverance. You've seen it.
Yeah.
Sports teams down by so many runs or touchdowns, 2 minutes to play, and they come back and win.
Yes.
People say, wow, that team's got heart. And I think that's really what I think, and we'll get into this in a little bit. I think organizations should be looking for people who have done difficult, complex things and figured out how to make it work. That's going to be a capability, I think, that's going to be sorely missed or sorely overlooked, let me say it that way, in the future. I'd love to get your reflection on that.
I'm a big believer in value-based hiring. I used to run an AmeriCorps program, and every year I would interview between 80 and 90 people for 20 slots. And I remember the first year that I started doing it, I did it, the normal routine, and I realized that I wasn't getting the right quality of person. So these people would be sent to community health centers in neighborhoods, and they basically be working independently. I'm their boss, but I wouldn't be there where they are. And so I needed to make sure that they were committed to doing this particular assignment. So I started doing some research, and I said, there's got to be a better way to do this so I can really find out who this person really is, not what the resume says, but who they really are. And that's when I started doing the value-based kind of questioning and motivational interviewing. I really based it on scenarios around difficult situations they had been in and how did they handle it. And I've now used in my practice as something I work with people to implement. How do you implement value-based hiring? In the healthcare field, it's very important that people have good values. And not just the good values. It's more about alignment with the company's values or the organization's values. There's a disconnect that sometimes happens. And when that happens, I would say the person that's been hired, it feels out of step, and the leader feels out of step because they're not in sync. I don't believe exactly what you believe. I always say that if you're in community health and you don't believe that everybody deserves health care, then you probably shouldn't be in it. And how do you find out who those people are so we don't put them in situations like that?
I absolutely am in lockstep with you. The number one sought after requirement of this multi-generational workforce, and especially in the younger generations, is they want values alignment.
Yes.
They want to know the organization cares about the same things they care about. One of the things that I have returned to personally with great fervor over the last year or so is discussing mission statements, in the sense that when organizations look for people who are values aligned with them, they better make sure that they've articulated what values they stand for. Because you can't build that bridge from one side of the river. You have to build that bridge from both sides of the river so they meet in the middle. And too often, I'm sure you've seen this, Janet, mission statements are 7 or 8 or 9 paragraphs long.
Yeah.
And you sit back and say, but who are you?
Right.
What do you do? Where are you going? And who do you want to come with you? I'm absolutely in lockstep with that. Values alignment, hire for heart. Those two things to me are inseparable.
Yeah.
Long will a person remain with an organization if their values are not aligned with that organization? What is the retention
Right.
factor, if you will?
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that healthcare organizations deal with, recruitment and retention. Just talking about retention, I'd say no more than probably 18 months. In the beginning, they're going to say, let me give it a little more time. And then they watch how the organization maneuvers and they're like, oh, that seems a little odd. Over time, they see more and they say, I can't do this. I have a friend in that situation right now, are diminished, and she's been in that job for about 2 years. So it's almost coming now to the end of the line for that job, I think, because she can't get them to see. She's got great values and great insight. Somehow she doesn't feel like they value that. So she feels like she's out of step. They're doing one thing and she's trying to do this, and they're not working together. The two things are not coming together, I should say. I don't think it takes people, and I think the younger generation, I do some intergenerational understanding type of work as part of the culture work that I do. The younger generation is very aware of when people are not being authentic. They can suss it out in a minute. If you're saying one thing and doing something else, they're going to see it and say, I can't work here. I got to find another job. I got to go somewhere else, because they're not being true to what they've written in that mission statement, that vision statement, that value statement. I never say every company needs a value statement. And that value statement is something you need to live by. It can't just be a piece of paper or a plaque on the wall or whatever. It has to be a living document. And leadership has to exude the values of that organization. If they don't, then the people that work there are going to feel that they're not being authentic.
I absolutely agree. And people won't hang around.
No.
I mean, if anything comes out of COVID, it's people are not working for just a paycheck anymore.
No.
They want some level of meaning, doing meaningful things, having impact, being recognized, being seen, being heard is the greatest single motivation force on the planet. If someone comes into an organization with a set of values, that is aligned with the organization's value set, and the CEO and senior leaders do exactly as you say, exude that, talk about it. Not only talk about it, live it. You got to live it every day.
Right.
A mission statement for me is, this is who we are. This is what we do. This is where we're going.
Yeah.
And you get one sentence.
Right.
In my opinion, you get one sentence. You got it. And Thomas Jefferson, there's an old story about Thomas Jefferson wrote to a friend of his. And he said, please forgive me. I had not the time to write a shorter letter. And because brevity counts, you got to say it and mean it. And those people will stay. They will work crazy hours and stay. But you've got to be able to connect their values to your values. Because here's the thing. If you're not values aligned,
Right.
that's okay. They may go to some other organization. They may go make candy rather than being in healthcare. And I'm not putting candy down by any stretch of the imagination. It has to be this level of alignment. And my prediction is if this continues in an organization, that organization will eventually go away.
Yes.
Because they won't have the people they need to generate the energy to do what needs to be done in the future. I'd love to get any reflections you have on that.
You can't just have revolving door. And a lot of places have that. They say, okay, that didn't work out. We'll bring in this person. Oh, that didn't work. We'll bring in another person. I'm thinking back to when I first started in healthcare, and I had a wonderful leader, a COO, and I actually reported directly to her at the time. I was going in for an overview of my first 6 months there. I was pontificating about something, and she sat there very quietly, and she said to me, Janice, when you really understand this, that's when it's going to work. And I thought that was so odd. But what she was really saying was, you need to catch the spirit of this. You need to be invested in it. You need to know this is in alignment with what you believe. I would not have stayed in the business I was in for 17 years if that alignment did not exist. I could see the value of the organizations and the work that they did. I still, to this day, hold community health centers in the highest regard because they're doing God's work and under very difficult circumstances and probably even more difficult in the future. And so I caught the fire. All of a sudden, you're like, I got it. This is why I'm here. I worked in the corporate world for years, and I never knew exactly who I was working for. I was working for the shareholders, and I don't know, they were nameless, faceless people. But when I started working with people in community health centers, I knew who I was dealing with and the pressures that they were under and the challenges they faced. So if I could bring some difference in that, that's what I felt my goal really was in my time there, to be innovative, to be understanding, to work great with the teams in the health centers. And I walked away from it saying, I believe that I accomplished that. And I still have that warm feeling about the business of community health.
I've had the opportunity to do several presentations in the healthcare space over the course of the last 18 months. Nurse practitioners, nurses, pharmacists, and different venues. The thing that I centered on, and my presentations were really in several different areas, but the one that I really like to talk about was retention. One of the things I found in doing research for it was how many times the desires, if you will, or the knowledge or the experiences of the healthcare folks in that strata, nurse practitioners, nurses, is just pushed aside by many organizations. They're running it like a factory,
right,
if you will.
Right.
A 1950s factory. This is the way it is. This is the way it's going to be. There is no collaboration. There is no input. It's almost a blindness, turning a blind eye to the needs of the professionals. I'm curious to know, have you seen that as well in the healthcare space that you've dealt with?
That's what causes burnout. I truly believe it's not the hours that people are working, it's the conditions that they're working under that's causing the burnout. There is a desire, of course, that you have to make some money to keep the doors and the lights on, but they've gone to a kind of a ridiculous place right now where they're cutting back on the number of hours that I call them providers, but a physician can actually spend with a patient. Now imagine you're a physician and you've gone through, I don't know how many years of school, or you ready to go, you're working in this place and you want to do the best for your patients. And all of a sudden they say, well, you can't spend that much time with your patient. You got to turn them over because that's the only way we're going to make money. And you're like, well, why am I doctor again? Because I don't feel like I'm doing what I was trained to do. And then you start getting that feeling of maybe I should move on to something else, or maybe I should leave this organization because they don't give me an opportunity to practice my craft. When you're in something and you can't do what you're trained to do, and you've trained all your life for it, then it gets tough. It's very tough. And I think that's what causes a lot of the burnout.
I absolutely agree. I think it's connected to this notion of meaning. You can't give care. You can't take care of the patient the way you want it or the way the patient needs.
Right.
You're constantly being burned out because whatever you say or try to do doesn't matter.
Right.
Everyone wants to matter.
Great.
Everyone wants to matter. Everyone wants to have impact. So I absolutely agree with you. And it's something that I've really focused on in my work, creating a leadership environment where people come to do their best work every day. My leadership model that I started developing over 30 years ago is built on one premise alone, and that is contribution. The notion is we have a problem. Who would like to help us? Who has an idea, a thought, a perspective? Let's open it up. Let's put it all on the table. Let's see where it takes us. And this idea that we're all, one of my catchlines is leadership is what people do together. It's not about what this one person over here gives me.
Right.
You don't give me anything. what I'm looking for, what I think most people are looking for, and I will say this, that it's a multi-generational thing. It includes the boomers, the Gen Xers, and certainly the Gen Zers. They want to contribute. They want to do something that matters. I talked about values alignment. The second thing in my research is people want to be part of the decision-making processes of the organization. They want to matter. They want to get up and say, I matter today. Meaning means something to me because I gain meaning from the fact that I matter and the things are important. I'm involved in something that's important and I can feel it. I know it and I can feel it. I think burnout is a self-inflicted wound.
It's psychological safety too. If an organization isn't building psychological safety, allowing people to point out things that are a problem and not feeling like there's going to be retribution, again, that organization is not going to be all that it can be. You know, I wrote an email, a newsletter about this. I used to make a joke when I was in an organization. We'd go to a staff meeting and I'd say to somebody, do you see that big hump underneath the rug? And they'd say, huh? What are you talking about? No, you didn't see it? I said, that's all the stuff we swept under the rug. It's all under there. It's not going away. If we don't talk about it and we don't try to resolve it, it's going to stay under that rug. But it's going to come out some way, shape, or form. Just be aware of that. As you're dealing with people, you just can't push it away because it never really goes away.
The Gen Zers are not going to let organizations get away with it.
No.
That's my perspective. You think hiring is tough now? You think finding people is tough now? Get ready.
Right.
Especially now in the world of AI.
Yes.
The job requirements, the jobs that are estimated to come from AI. Everybody talks about, oh, my job's going away. Well, yeah, the mundane jobs are going to go away. The everyday kind of data input kind of jobs will probably go away. But it's estimated now that anywhere between 95 and 120 million new AI-related jobs are going to be created in the next several years. But more than that, just as you pointed out before, the Gen Zers are not going to put up with this stuff. Hey, I'm gone, man. I can't do this. I can't be part of an organization that will not listen to me or will not even respect that I can have input.
Right.
After all, I'm on ChatGPT 6 hours a day looking at where our organization may be going or what the challenges may be to our organization in the near future. So people are not ready for it, Janice. Organizations are not ready for this. They're trying to hang on. You know what I'm saying? They've got that death grip like this. They're hanging on. And the answer is no, you gotta let it go.
It's kind of
You gotta let it go.
when Henry Ford created the assembly line for cars. Everybody probably said, oh, there goes our jobs. They don't need us anymore. Things are going to move around by themselves. But that's not the case. You may have to learn new skills to be on the assembly line. And I think AI is exactly like that. You have to learn new skills and think in a different way. But that doesn't mean your job's going away. It may shift a little with the knowledge that you have. But innovation is such a tough thing because people are afraid, oh God, you know? I mean, I think even when I heard about AI, I was at a party and someone was talking about it, I was like, it's gonna tell me that? Oh God, that's not good. And that, you couldn't pry my dead hands off. You know, so it's fear. It's fear and of change. People don't like change and they want to keep doing the same things that they're doing, but
Yeah.
that's not the way.
Yeah, they want to live in that little world, but
Mhm.
that's not the world. The world is pulling them forward, whether they realize it or not. It's the same thing in computers. I remember when browsers were just coming online. I remember when people used to say, oh, this, I'm sure, I don't know if you remember this.
I do.
We will never have a need for paper anymore.
Yes.
We don't need paper.
Right.
Well, you want to look around my office here, I got more paper than I know what to do with.
Yeah.
Computers are going to replace paper. Never happened. And now you said Everybody thought everybody's job was going to go away with computers. And now there are more people doing computer work than you could ever imagine.
Right?
It's become ubiquitous, right? They're everywhere.
Yeah.
And I absolutely agree. That's what's going to happen with AI. It's going to happen faster. In 5 years, this is the way I say it, AI right now is the variable, right? People are getting used to it. People are the constant. In 5 years, maybe less, AI will be the constant and people will return to being the variable. How do people use AI?
Yeah.
What things do they do in creating AI?
Right.
Things are exploding. It boggles the mind. But eventually, there will be people who do absolutely amazing things. Yes, there are nefarious people that will do nefarious things, just as we have hackers today trying to hack into somebody's credit card. We're going to have to face that and deal with it. We better get ready to deal with it and start working on it now,
Right.
because it's coming. This is a tidal wave. This is a tsunami. You can't stop it. It's coming ashore, one way or the other. So you better get used to it. I'm very encouraged by your perspective on that. Let me ask this question, if I can. In your view, what's often missing from most organizational culture efforts, and how can leaders course correct?
When I start working with an organization, I start at the top. Leaders believe they can push change from the bottom up. People at the lower levels don't have that kind of power. So in order to really grab on to changing a culture, the leader has to be in sync. Otherwise, you're not going to get what you need out of this process that I'm going to take you through. And you're not going to be the cheerleader because, there's a lot of things that have to happen, in a culture change. If you don't believe in it, then you're not going to do it. So it's really getting the leadership on board with this. And I have taught the leaders and explained this to them, and then they end up not doing it because they're not ready. They're not willing to be that bellwether for what's coming next.
I agree. And I think sometimes it's just not all their fault because they don't have what they can conceive as an alternative.
Right.
If I'm not going to be this guy, then how am I going to be that guy? I don't even know what that guy does.
Right.
Or what rules that person lives by.
Right.
It's stepping out into a whole new environment. To be honest with you, I am now in the throes of creating something called the Throttle Up Leadership Operating System. It's a new operating system for the world of disruption we live in today. And it's just really an outgrowth of the work that I've done for 30 years. I have come to recognize we have to offer an alternative. And it's something that people have to, and we have to put a handle on it. We have to say, here, grab onto this. Here's the ideas. Here's how they work. Yeah. So I absolutely agree with you. You see a lot of time, but I don't know how to be that way. So we got to help them.
I was talking to a leader one day. There had been a remodel of the office space, and the people had been told they would have some input into, how the office was going to be reconfigured. The only thing they had any input into was the color of the rug. The leader was saying to me, we gave them this beautiful environment and they're not happy and they're complaining all the time. I don't understand. I said, well, they had a perception that they were going to have some ability to help drive this. And they didn't get that. So what happens is your back goes up, and no matter how pretty it is, you're not going to say it is pretty. You're going to say, oh yeah, I could have done that better. And I said, that's the importance of, first of all, that's the other thing about if you're going to tell people they're going to have input, make sure you do it. Don't get so caught up in your stuff that you forget that, oh yeah, well, maybe we should just run this plan by, them and see what they think. But then go to a call staff meeting, whatever. But that can be, it can really hurt morale.
I agree. I mean, we'll listen to you, tell us what you want to do, and they walk away.
Right.
My friend worked for a large public utility out on the West Coast. And He said many times they would call him to the headquarters and say, listen, we want to talk to you. We want to collaborate with you. We want to know what you think for these changes that are coming along. So they'd go to the meeting. They'd fly to wherever the facility was in the meeting. He said, and he'd walk in and the decisions were already made. So we called it the big hug. So, okay, let's just hug it up. We don't care about your input. We just want a big hug. That's what we need.
Right.
Because we're going to do what we're going to do. He said, I try never to go back there again. As they say in Australia, he wasn't backward in coming forward, meaning he would go there and let him have it. Right across the eyebrows in terms of, you keep calling us in here. You keep telling us you want to hear from us, but then when we come up with an idea, you don't want, it's already been done.
Yeah.
Does it make people mad and frustrate the heck out of them? It's just amazing.
Yep.
I want to move on. I want to talk to you. I want to give you an opportunity to talk about the 5-pillar process. So why don't you tell me a little bit about it? How does it help organizations move from dysfunction to transformation?
I think to change or revitalize a culture, you have to have certain steps. The first step is to go in and diagnose the situation. Kind of like being a doctor. You go in and you diagnose. You don't know what the problem is, but you're going to check around and see what you can do. Then align it with leadership. Once you've done the assessments, communication becomes a big part of it. How's leadership going to communicate these changes? And I see a lot on LinkedIn about this, how people are not understanding from their leaders the changes that they're going to be making because they're not being direct about what they're doing. And then the other thing is, how do we attract more employees? We talked about retention. How do we recruit the right people for this environment, for this culture? Maybe we have to change the way we did it before and switch it to this new culture that we have and revitalize it in this new culture. And then developing an action plan. I always say to people, I want to be that consultant for you that doesn't come in and throw a report on your desk and say, go forth and multiply. I want to be a resource for you, an ongoing resource. So I've structured it so that can happen in this particular 5 pillars. Another thing is culture shifts every once in a while. So you have to take another look at it. Something may have happened in the organization that now is shifted a little bit. So doing an ongoing process of looking at where are we now. And the final one is it's just sustain. Looking at how we evaluate and how this worked and how it's impacted our return on investment. Because when you get right down to it, people want to know what they're going to get out of this. They may get more employees, they might get better employees, but when it comes right down to how is it going to impact the organization's financial stability? In what way? So being more clear about that and more intentional about helping them do that. So that's how I developed the 5 pillars.
That's great. I mean, absolutely. It's a great chain of events, things that you have to go through. And again, accepting input, looking everywhere for the issues and trying to figure out exactly, this is where we're going. Again, the mission statement is this is what we're going to do. That kind of a thing. And if you don't do something like that, you're just wandering.
Right.
You're just wandering along, trying to get to the next day.
You're exactly right. You're going through the motions just so I can get through. I'm a very visual person. So one of the things I tell people is when people are having a difficult time absorbing what culture is, and it's a big word, and it covers a lot of territory, I say it's like your foundation. Buildings have foundations. And if there's a crack or cracks in that foundation, eventually the building is going to collapse. And what we're trying to do is find out where those cracks are so we can repair them so the building doesn't fall. Most people get it and they understand it about it.
Right. I agree. In terms of recruiting, I'm very much on the same plane with you. The first element of recruiting should be, what are our values? We are a value-driven organization. These are our values. For me, it's one simple mission statement, one sentence. It should be stated in there where we're going in action verbs. These are what we do, that kind of a thing. So I think that's so, so very important is to have your value statement up front so that people can latch onto it and say, yeah, I can work with these people. Or they're not singing my song. That's fine. I don't think many companies do that. I don't think companies think.
Yeah.
First thing we got to do is hire values. Go for values. Let's go for heart. The rest of it will come. When I was a naval officer, I spent a lot of time in Newport, Rhode Island. Went to Officer Candidate School in Newport, Rhode Island many years ago. I love that place.
No, I always say
Go ahead.
you can teach someone a skill, but you cannot teach them a value. People come with their values. Now, as a grown person, I can say, I don't think I really have that value, and maybe I need to look at that and try to improve and add it to my other values. But you can't force someone to have a value. And I've seen it happen. Oh, they don't believe in this, but we'll fix that. No, you won't. So that's the thing. I really do believe you can teach people skills, but you can't teach them values. I say,
Absolutely.
when you're in kindergarten, you've got your base. Don't hurt other people. Don't take what doesn't belong to you. Be kind. And the basic values, as you grow, you build on those. You refine them. That's why I think value-based hiring is so important. Embedding these in your recruitment materials, your job postings. I teach people how to write job postings that are value-driven. If one of your values is to provide health care to everyone, no matter their ability to pay, that needs to be embedded in there. Because you don't want someone taking a job and they're standing at the front desk and somebody comes in and gives them state insurance and they say, oh, God, I have to pay for my insurance. Why aren't they paying for theirs? And that's how they're going to treat the person less than.
Right. No, I absolutely agree. That point I was trying to make before was when I was a naval officer on ships, I used to say, give me the person with the right attitude. I can teach him anything.
Yeah.
I'll make him great.
Yeah.
Because it's all about the attitude, it's all about the values. And I cannot underscore enough exactly what you said. And that is every piece of material, hiring, attracting, hiring, engaging people should have the values of that organization up front and personal. Absolutely. And a lot of them miss it. Again, they're still corkscrewed, if you will, into the skills on a person's resume. Okay, fine. Maybe the requirement is they have to be a nurse practitioner. Maybe they have to be a medical doctor. Okay, that's good. But when you get into the guts of it, you better be able to find out what kind of value system these people operate on. And the people, they better look at that organization. I was recently doing a presentation in the area of workforce development at the annual conference at Workforce Development, Virginia Beach. And what I said to people is this: if you want to find meaning, one of the simple ways to do it, if you're a job seeker, is to look at the mission statement. And if their mission statement doesn't capture you, move on.
It doesn't align with your values.
Don't bother.
You're absolutely
Save yourself a lot of time. Move on. These folks don't know who they are.
right.
And they're trying to make everybody happy. You know, if I have this check the block perspective on my,
Yeah.
no,
No.
that's not the way it works. Listen, Janice, we're getting at the end here, and I can't thank you enough for an absolutely wonderful interview today and a wonderful opportunity to have you on the Throttle Up Leadership Podcast. I am so humbled and joyous to have had you here. We are on the same page. It's so nice to feel it.
Yeah.
There are other people who believe
You're out there.
the same way. I can't thank you enough.
Yeah.
And I wish you and your family the greatest success in the future. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Take care.